Good evening. This is the October 17th meeting of the Wallingford Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we begin the meeting, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight's decisions will be published in the Record Journal on Friday, October 21st, 2016. The effective date of your variance will be Friday, October 21st, 2016. The date a certified copy is recorded on the land records. The statutory 15-day appeal period will expire on Sunday, November 6th, 2016. If you commence operations and/or construction during the appeal period, you do so at your own risk. Voting tonight will be Mr. Hine, Mr. Wolfer, myself, Mr. Rice, and Mrs. Tata. First hearing is 1632, a request from Kangle, 765 North Colony Road.
That's your receipts for next month.
Okay. First hearing will be 1633, a special exception for educational play care, 15 North Industrial Road. How about 1629?
Okay.
A variance for a side yard setback at 71 New Place Street.
This application is for a side yard of 8.6 feet where 20 feet is required and 8.6 feet exists to construct an addition and extend existing second floor dormer in an R18 district. Subject property is legally non-conforming undersized corner lot. Applicant is seeking less than 60 square feet of additional space, creating no change to current setback and creates no additional nonconformity, and will enable modification for handicap accessible and amenities.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. You want to explain your reason for your request to the board?
Sure. Thank you very much for your question.
State your name and address, too, please.
My name is Ronald Sislow, senior, I guess, since I do have a junior. I have lived at 71 New Place Street for the past 40 years. And my wife and I have now come to a point where with her arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, we need some revisions to our house to make it more habitable. And the request, the first request I guess I'll talk about is the addition to the rear of the home in order to accommodate a walk-in tub. I don't know if you're familiar with that type of tub, but it's one where you can sit down, walk in, and it circulates. My wife and I feel that would be a big help for her, making her feel better with her arthritis.
What's the size of your addition going to be?
The second one would be to accommodate a shower. One of the problems, how we always have been in the house, but not much of a problem to us in our younger years, is the shower is tucked under the eave of the house. And it has I guess a standard or 5-foot tub in it, cast iron tub in it. We would like to be able to remove that tub, put a shower in, and create more headroom so we can have a more affordable shower, again with handicap amenities, with a folding chair so one could sit down and shower, and also handrails and things that would be more helpful. The problem is her stepping over the tub. She has complained that, and she has fallen stepping over the tub, and we feel that without that tub in place, we could, and a shower, we would be safer and easier for us to live on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you. Anyone on the board wish to ask the applicant any questions.
Good evening. Is this on? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Sislo. One of the questions I had for you is, so you're extending that dormer area back? Are you extending that back wall? Is that the plan?
No, the dormer area will be extended to the roof line to the side. We're not going to change the line of the dormer except to bring it out further towards the edge of the roof.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this application? Anyone wish to speak against the application? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and open it up to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the application, better use of the property without altering the character of the neighborhood.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve, Mr. Wolfer. Oh, Mr. Hine. Motion to approve, Mr. Hine.
Yes.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Ms. Tata.
Yes.
Chairman Bernie.
Yes. Your variance has been approved.
Thank you.
Second hearing is 1630. An applicant to, the application for a front yard setback from the Wallingford Conservation Commission, 131 Cheshire Road. Would you introduce yourselves, please, for the record?
Good evening. I'm Erin O'Hare, Environmental Planner, staff to the Conservation Commission.
Mary Heffernan, Chair of the Conservation Commission.
Thank you. Which one of you would like to explain your application?
Erin Wood.
I'll be glad to explain it. All right, the town has received an award to construct 3 universal access trails over at the Fresh Meadows Open Space. The Fresh Meadows Open Space, if you're not familiar with it, is a 93-acre open space, formerly the Galco property, so it's largely in open fields. It's on the Cheshire side of town. What you're going to be asked to look at tonight is the southernmost trail. This is going to be a trail along the southern side of Cheshire Road, and there's a parking area associated with this trail. The parking area is going to have 3 handicap spaces and 7 regular car spaces. And the way it's been designed, and by the way, I should say the design was done 3 years ago. We had the design done by Leonard Engineering. Copies of it went out with the application form. The parking area, the new parking area, and I should say there is an existing parking area on the north side of the road, but we have designed a new one on the south side of the road to access that trail that's going to be on the south side of the road. Now, it's been designed, as it turns out, roughly 6 feet, 5.9 feet from the front line. This is about 13 feet from the curb line of Cheshire Road, because as you know, we have to measure back. The front yard setback starts at the property line, which in this case is the right-of-way that runs along the south side of Cheshire Road. So if this is built, it's going to be built 13 feet at the closest point to Cheshire Road, the curb on Cheshire Road, which is 5.9 feet from the true property line for that parcel. That's at the closest point. Then it's further back. The rest of it is further back, but I measured to the closest point. And would you like me to talk about the reasons why we want to hold to this design?
Yes.
Okay. So it could have been set back further from the road. We chose to have it, we directed the engineer to design it as close to the road as was wise. And I do have photographs, by the way, of the area as it exists today, if you'd like me to show you the physical
Would
area.
you like to submit those as,
Sure, yes.
bring them up here, please? Thank you.
When you see, in the photographs, you can see it's a hayfield. The town mows it, keeps it as a hayfield. So our intent was to design the parking area as close to the road as we could, to leave as much of the beautiful hayfield as possible. And then, of course, a little further back, there are wetlands, a wet meadow in that hayfield. So we wanted to avoid the wetlands, but then we also wanted to save as much of the hay area as possible, the open grassland area as possible for enjoyment of open space. The Conservation Commission manages it for open space to promote wildlife and butterflies and grassland birds. A lot of work has gone into this open space property. There's going to be a driveway. The access to this parking lot is off the southern edge of Cheshire Road.
Anyone on the commission wish to ask any questions of the applicant?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just have some questions regarding the application. Is the parking area going to be paved?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things I'm struggling with is, as I was going over the application, now I'm new to this board, but I know that the board in the past has looked at applications and they say, you know, well, hey, we're not going to grant a variance just because you want to use your property in a particular way. That's not the standard for a variance. And so if a private homeowner had come up and said, you know, I want to use my land for open space, and because I want to use it in this particular way, I want to put a parking lot right along the road, that owner may get some pushback because that's not really the standard for a variance. And so I'm hoping that you can help me get to where I need to get to grant this. This particular property, was it purchased through a grant from the state?
Yeah, it was assistance from the state of Connecticut,
Okay.
yes.
And as part of that grant, did the town have to agree to keep this property as open space?
It is open space.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But as part of that grant, was that one of the terms of the grant? To get the money, the town had to agree to use the property as open space?
Mary, if you want to jump in on that.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. And
for perpetuity.
for perpetuity, and I assume that that's part of the deed, that's in the deed somewhere.
But for recreational use. So there are certain amenities to promote the recreational use of the open space, yes.
Yeah, okay. No, and that's good. And that's helpful. So this is part of the deed. The deed runs with the property. It's going to be used as open space in perpetuity, and that's a limitation on the use of this land. It's got to be used as open space, correct?
Right.
Am I right? Yeah. And so the reason why you're looking for the parking area right along the street is to encourage the use as open space, and that again is a limitation in the deed. This is not a typical property.
That's part of it, but
Yeah.
also we want the parking to be convenient to the trail that's going there, because this is going to be an ADA trail.
Okay.
So that's the purpose of
Yeah.
making the parking as convenient as possible. So
Okay.
people in wheelchairs can get right out and get on that
Yeah,
trail.
okay. And, you know, I went out to the property yesterday and took a look, and I parked in the parking area across the street there. And are there any plans to maybe improve that parking area at some point? This is sort of off the subject, but
You might want to call Public Works and ask them.
is that who maintains that lot over there? And would Public Works also maintain this lot?
After it's constructed, yes.
Yeah, okay. I may do that, actually. All right, I don't have any further questions. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hine. Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
I guess I have a statement, more than a question. The parking that you want to put in, I think one of the biggest assets is the visibility. You know, you're going to have ADA people there, and quite frankly, if you want to park in a parking lot like that, you want to have the visibility so police can see it, so fire can see it. And I think it's a safety concern more than anything else. I certainly wouldn't want to have to park a quarter of a mile down and walk a trail. So this is one of the reasons why I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Stein.
Also, more of a statement. I think this particular variance, is it on? Yeah. I think this variance would actually be less impactful the way that you proposed to the open space and to the environment rather than paving more and having it conform with the setbacks. And then you're closer to the wetlands, as you said. And you know, when we state a lot of times better use of the property, I certainly think this is a better use of the property if you're able to go ahead with this plan and that there'll be a trail on there that will be usable, especially if it's ADA compliant and a handicap trail. So I would be in support of this variance. Thank you.
I have a comment to make. In the summertime, I take my granddaughter up to the country club. And one time last summer, there was a young family that was parked in the parking lot on the south side of the street. And they had I think there were 3 children, and one of them actually ran out in front of my car. So I think it's a good idea to have parking on both sides of the street.
Yes, we wanted to avoid a crosswalk. That was the intent. Crosswalks are not desirable, especially in the middle of a street,
Right.
let alone an intersection.
Does anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of the application? Anyone wish to speak against the application, sir? Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address, please.
Thomas Horn and
You have
21.
to go a little closer to the microphone, sir.
You can bring it up.
pull it
sir.
up.
There you go. Thomas Horn. I live on 21 Schoolhouse, so my property is adjacent to 131 Cheshire Road. Actually, I think it's a good idea for people to be able to enjoy that property because my wife and I, the wildlife that's there, there's actually a big herd of turkeys and deer, and there's quite a bit of wildlife there. So, and I've been to the other parking lot, and it does need a lot of work.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to speak against the application? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and leave it up to the commission for further action.
Make a motion that we approve this application, better use of the property without disturbing the character of the neighborhood.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Hine.
Yes.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Ms. Tata.
Yes.
Chairman Bernie.
Yes. You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think that the next application is 1626R. Mr. Cohn?
We have 1631.
1631.
Horn.
You got the wrong thing, that's okay.
Okay. It's 1631 and 21 Schoolhouse Road.
The application's for a side yard of 10 feet where 100 feet exists, and for 30 feet is required to construct a 224 square foot shed. Applicant is requesting alternative to locating shed in rear of yard as to avoid wetlands.
Want to state your name and address again, please?
Thomas Horn, 21 Schoolhouse Road.
Okay. Would you explain to the commission the purpose for your request?
Actually, when we bought the property and renovated it, we did an addition in the back. And when we did the addition, we actually extended the foundation line. And in looking for the proper place to put a shed where I could put my lawnmower and all that, to go completely behind the foundation line would put us closer to the wetlands. And this year's okay, but when we originally bought the property, that rear of the lot, it gets wet. So I would prefer not to have a structure that's near the wetlands and where it gets very soggy. In fact, there was when we bought the property, there was two outbuildings that were in the rear, and I've demolished those to get them away from the wetlands.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of the application, against the application? Seeing none, I close the public hearing and leave it to the commission to make recommendations, et cetera.
Mr. Chairman, it's been a long time, but it's unusual that in the same month, we have two applications that are side by side. And I was talking with Jim, and we went out to look at the Cheshire Road one for the parking lot. And then I put into my 21 squad, and it gave me walking directions rather than driving directions. So, but I think the applicant has done a good job in putting it where he wants to put it to avoid the issuance, and I'd be in favor of this application. Having said that, make a motion to approve 16031, better use of the property without altering the character of the neighborhood.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve. Mr. Hine? Yes. Mr. Wolfer?
Yes.
Mr. Rice?
Yes.
Ms. Tata?
Yes.
Chairman Bernie?
Yes, you're all set.
Thank you, sir.
Now we'll get to 16026R.
This application is a revision to 1626 canopy expansion, which was approved 9/16/16. Applicant seeks to add variance for fuel pump setback of 12 to 15 feet where 17 to 18 feet exist, and 25 feet is required to allow the additional 2 fuel pumps to be located within and in conjunction with approved canopy expansion in a CB12 district. Subject property is triangular shaped, non-conforming parcel with 3 front yards abutting 3 separate roads. Operating as retail gas station, incumbents by 3 front yards causes any improvements to the fuel pumps and associated canopy to require a variance regardless of the location of the property.
Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Robert Cohn, 30 Mapleview Road.
Want to explain the reason for your application?
We're going to just add 2 more dispenser pumps. We have 2 there, we're just going to have 4 altogether. It's the only spot where they can go. Those are the 3 roads.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. I remember you were before us last month, and I think at that point we're dealing with the expansion of the canopy.
Yes.
This is dealing with the location of the fuel pumps themselves.
Yes.
I guess one of my concerns is that just that the closer you get to the road, my concern is that it becomes a little more dangerous in that I remember just maybe last year there was a car that went off the road and tore down a canopy and hit some fuel dispensers in New Haven. And I get a little, I guess what I'm struggling with a little bit is that are these dispensers, are they actually being moved from where they are so that they
Just
currently?
add 2 more. The ones on Route 5 will be the same setback.
Okay, okay.
It's the
So,
same setback that's there now.
okay, so the pumps that are there now along Route 5, those aren't getting any closer to the street?
No.
Okay. Where are there any pumps that are getting closer to any street?
South Main Street.
So it's the South Main Street one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't think I have any further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Wolf?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if I understand correctly, it's going to be 5 feet from South Main Street is going to be the next set of pumps? The new set of pumps that you're going to put in?
I'm just extending the 2 islands down. There's 2 islands there now.
Yeah?
And they're going to, the 2 new pumps are going to be towards South Elm Street going that way.
Oh, South Elm, not South Main.
Well, South Main, I got 3 roads there.
Yeah?
But the 2 new pumps are going down towards South Elm Street.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of the application? Anyone wish to speak against the application? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Open it to the commission.
Make a motion, we approve this application. Better use of the property without changing the character of the neighborhood.
Second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Hine.
Yes.
Mr. Wolfer.
Yes.
Mr. Rice.
Yes.
Ms. Tata.
Yes.
Chairman Bernie.
Yes, you're all set.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the minutes for Monday, September 19th.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to,
So moved.
all in favor?
Adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.